Nice to see you in Riga, and we'll proceed quite fast to the essence of this event. I would introduce on the stage the panelists from the first panel, the broader landscape for European Energy Union. And the first one definitely is the Commissioner for Climate Action and Energy, Miguel Arias Cañete, please. Proceed to the stage. Maria van der Hoven, International Energy Agency. Nice to see you in Riga. Tord Lien, Minister of Norway for Petroleum and Energy. Robin Dunnigan, Deputy Assistant Secretary for Energy Diplomacy, Bureau of Energy Resources, U.S. Department of State. Jean-Arnold Vinois, on behalf of Jacques Delors Institute, Notre Europe. Bernadette Sigol, General Secretary of European Trade Union Confederation. And Sanjay Rajan, Head of Networks and Conventional Power Division within the APE. And for the opening speech of this conference, I would invite the Minister for Economics, Dana Reizniece-Ozola.
Labrīt. Good morning, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. I'm really delighted to welcome you all here today to participate in the Riga Energy Union Conference. I'm honored to host this event together with Maroš Šefčovič, the Vice President of the European Commission for Energy Union. Successful establishment of the Energy Union is one of the main priorities also for the Latvian Presidency. Such union is going to be a new, broader paradigm of the energy policy that will allow us to deal efficiently with the challenges that we all are still facing. We often refer to the transition of the energy policy, which is needed due to the global challenges of the landscape. In case of Europe, it is clear that a significant progress has been already made, but there are still tasks that we need to fulfill. And there's nothing new in the statement that we have challenges or problems with the completion of the internal market, problems in the security of supplies, challenges in R&D sector, but I'm convinced that we need to use current political momentum and ensure better performance of the EU energy sector. Today, we launch the Riga process on the establishment of the European Energy Union, and I'm honored to see here all the strong minds of the energy coming from different countries, from different sectors of energy policy, representatives of academia, civil society, NGOs, and industry, all the main stakeholders. This means we will have a broad dialogue today, and I invite you, please, do not try to make this day easy for us, nor for the speakers, because only from the clashes of the opinions the truth emerges. Dear participants, the Commission has proposed a 5-dimension solution for establishment of the Energy Union, and I hope those dimensions are not going to be regarded as 5 parallel pillars. Energy Union should be created on the basis of the mutual enforcement of these dimensions, like an image is created by a colorful strokes of the Impressionist painting. To ensure such energy, that synergy of all these pillars or the dimensions, we need to focus on concrete actions and discuss them in depth with no limitations on the topics. The Riga process will be continued in Brussels already in March this year, where the energy ministers and then the heads of the governments would discuss the implementation of the strategy that is to be proposed by the Commission. It will be continued even further to be implemented with the concrete actions and development of the governance structure of the Energy Union. We, as the Presidency, believe that discussion on the governance of Energy Union should be based on a regional approach. We have to use the best practices and support the principle that one member state belongs to one region. Regional cooperation, not division, but regional cooperation, is essential to implement efficient energy policy, plan the infrastructure, support schemes, and foster innovation. And at this point, I'm proud to say that I have in hand an excellent example of regional cooperation. It's the Baltic Energy Market Interconnection Plan. I believe it could inspire other regions to cooperate and contribute to the EU internal energy market implementation. We also need to discuss a broader place of Europe in the global energy development and appropriate instruments to promote joint interests. Therefore, we should discuss the EU energy diplomacy with focus on strengthening protection of the EU's joint interests, including solving the problems like competition over resources or instability and conflict prevention in energy sector. We, as a small country located right here and being highly dependent on only one gas supplier, really would appreciate that. Dear colleagues, today's event is going to be the first step, I hope not in a long-term road, but kind of a fast track towards the secure, sustainable and affordable energy, which is the energy trilemma. And while the final curtain of the Energy Union has not yet been raised, detail your priorities, doubts and hopes today. Or even better, as Dante Alighieri has said, abandon all the hopes, because just hopes are not enough to be successful in Europe's energy policy today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I once again wish to all of us a successful and fruitful discussion today in order to be able to draw some red lines towards the end of the day. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Minister, and I would like to express our thanks for the quality of hospitality of the Latvian Presidency, as well as the excellent cooperation between the European Commission and the Latvian Presidency for the preparation of this event, in particular between our respective teams from your ministry and from DG Energy. Thank you very much again. And now I would like to pass the floor directly to the Vice President of the Commission, responsible for Energy Union, Maroš Šefčovič. As you know, he was already Vice President of the Commission during the second mandate of Commission Barroso, and he was in charge of interinstitutional relations and administration. You have the floor, please.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dominic, Honorable Minister, dear Dana, dear ministers, dear Miguel, my colleague from the commissions, the members of European and national parliaments, ladies and gentlemen, friends. When I was looking through the list of participants this morning, I was really struck by its diversity, because in this room we have representatives of the member states. We have representatives of the countries neighboring with the European Union. We have colleagues from the United States, and I think all this is very much underlying the very important feature of the Energy Union, which will not stop at the border of the European Union, because we want to work very closely with our neighbors and with our friends. Among us, we have today CEOs, we have the NGOs, we have the representative of the trade unions, we have representatives of the consumer organizations, we have think tanks, we have energy associations. We have also professors, and we have future prosumers. We have members of the European Parliament and we have members of the national parliament. So I really would like to compliment Madam Minister Dana for really convening such excellent group of people and creating the possibilities for very interactive discussions which would really help us to fine-tune, finalize the proposals we are going to present by the end of February to get new ideas and to test some of our initial ideas in the dialogue and discussions with all of you. And I think that by hosting this event, we are just actually starting something which in Brussels is start to be known as a Riga process. I think you referred to it in your opening remarks, and therefore I'm very glad that we could have this meeting and this discussion here in your beautiful country. With Miguel Arias Canete, we had the first very, I would say, in-depth and useful orientation debate on the Energy Union with the whole college just this Wednesday. It was kind of next step in all that deliberations, consultations we have made with the project team for the Energy Union, which comprised 14 commissioners and 16 DGs, because we really wanted to cover all aspects of this very important process of energy transitions we are about to embark upon. And we wanted to make sure that we look at it from all the angles, because as all the commissioners underlined, the Energy Union will play its role where it puts the citizens at its core. Because it must be not only about business and economy, it must be also about the European consumers, making sure that people in Europe could heat their houses without the fear of price skyrocketing or the supply running out because of the geopolitical instability in the world. And you know that this is the problem, because mostly because of the recent crisis, we have 10% of the European households who are problems with meeting their energy demands and paying the energy bills. Energy Union should be also about ensuring that our businesses can buy the energy at competitive prices and continue to be driver for jobs and growth. And you know that under current circumstances, this is also not always the case. The Energy Union should be also about ensuring that the leading cutting-edge research in renewable energy is European. And often this is not the case either. Just look at the top 10 solar companies, none of them is a European one. And it's about building the sustainable future for the next generation. And therefore, all these aspects we have to have in mind where we are talking about the future of energy and climate change and about the key elements and aspects of the Energy Union. I think that, as Madam Minister Dana said, we should not just talk about it. I think it's a high time to act. And I think that we have to use the political momentum which was gathered for this very important process over the last few years. And look, this very unique opportunity we have in our time, because we have a Commission and a Commission's President who is absolutely determined to deliver on the Energy Union. We have the European Parliament, and I saw some of members of the European Parliament here among us, so they can testify to that I spent a lot of time there over the last few weeks, and I can tell you that there is strong commitment from the European Parliament to have a very solid start with implementing our Energy Union. We have a new President of the European Council, Mr. Donald Tusk, who is from neighboring country and who is very committed to make sure that Europe would increase its energy security and put the energy policies on very solid, sound basis. And we have a very committed presidency, which decided to put it as one of their top priorities, and is already helping us to communicate with the member states, to communicate with all the stakeholders. So we really would have not only successful launch, but later on starts of speedy implementation of the Energy Union. When you are in these numerous interaction and discussions we've been going through over the last few weeks, sometimes you might have a question, do we really need now the energy union when we see that the oil prices are falling down so heavily over the last 6 months? And my answer is yes, of course we do, because I think we are kind of lucky that we are now in the process where we can use even this development to our advantage, because we should use this breathing space with lower oil and gas prices as a golden opportunity to reset our energy policies in the right direction and to take the necessary investment now. It's also a golden opportunity to encourage EU member states to reduce costly public financial support to fossil fuels, invest in renewables, low carbon technologies, and end our dependence on external sources of oil and gas. So whether we represent industry, NGOs, governments, international institutions, or just ourselves, we all have an interest in getting the energy union strategy right. I'm convinced that most of it, if not all, about the basic features of the energy union been already presented to you or debated in some of the forum. And I think, as Madam Minister was referring to, we are now talking about 5 dimensions exactly for the reason she highlighted, because we didn't want to create the impression that if you go through the pillar structure, that this would be parallel processes not linked with each other. We see these five dimensions as a 5 mutually reinforcing set of policies which would really bring us one much stronger end result, which we all need if we want to go and have successful this very important energy transition in the European Union. So therefore, I will not repeat the detailed description of the 5 dimensions. I will just give you a couple of examples and figures. First, security of supply. As you know very well, we are the biggest energy importer in the world. We are importing more than 1 billion euros per day, which we pay for the energy. It's 3.2% of our GDP, and it's more than 400 billions of euros every year. We are very much dependent on one dominant supplier of Russia if it comes to oil, if it comes to gas, and you in this country, you are very much dependent on cooperation with Russia also in the field of electricity. And therefore, I think that we must make sure that if we have such an important partner, that the relationship is balanced, the prices are fair, and that we also have other options what we need for our trading and for our energy security. Therefore, I think we need to underline the fact that we need an energy union with a strong solidarity clause. There are, of course, different ways to solve it. I mean, one of the ways to which we didn't pay enough attention in the past was more energy efficiency. For example, if we increase Europe's energy efficiency by 1%, our gas imports will fail by additional 2.6%. Or if we diversify our supplies, route and sources, we would really increase the possibilities for our buyers and consumers to choose. Or we can increase the transparency of our long-term gas contracts, which would again make more of the level playing field for the gas industry, for the purchases, and it would clearly increase the political weight of Europe being the big customer, reliable customer who pays a lot, who pays on time, and who wants to be fairly treated by the energy suppliers. Security of supply is, of course, very closely linked to the second very important dimension, especially the single energy market. We must make sure that we create all preconditions by removing administrative barriers, by removing technical obstacles, so we can really have this free flow of energies in the European Union. Of course, that's hard work. We must be very insistent if it comes to the obligations of the member states. They have to implement to what they are obliged to, that the European law is really transposed in all member states and the regulatory framework is respected. We also need to work much closer with our European regulators, with our transmission system operators, and I'm very glad that we have among us also the director of Agency for Coordination of European Regulators, because he can tell us how he sees the possibilities to even improve the role of ACER, what we can do more on this level, because I believe that the role of this agency in the future would be absolutely crucial. Madam Minister was referring to the importance of regional cooperation. I think we have seen how much you can achieve when you cooperate well. I think here in the Baltic region, we've seen such a proof of what you can do if you cooperate well. The creation of Baltic Energy Market Interconnection Plan was, I think, prime example of successful regional cooperation arrangement, and I think that regional approach will be one which we very much support also under the umbrella of the Energy Union. When we talk about energy efficiency, which is third dimension of our Energy Union, here we see how much we can achieve here. If we look how much we already save thanks to the eco-design and energy labeling in Europe, I think we should be brave enough to stand up to sometimes unfair criticism which we could see in the media and in the press. Consumers are simply saving 465 euros on their energy bills per household per year, thanks to the fact that the electric appliances are much more efficient, they spend less energy, and they offer better service. Thanks to this legislation only, Europe will save until 2020 the same volume of electricity which is consumed by Italy in 1 year. These are big figures which are showing us what is the potential we must use in this field, and how much we would achieve if we would be that successful in increasing efficiency in our buildings, in our houses, because if you look that 40% of our energy bill still goes for cooling and heating on our buildings, I think it's just simply too much money, and I'm sure that we could do better. If we look at our last two dimensions of decarbonizing of our economies, here again we have to act very quickly, because investors are expecting clear signals from the lawmakers. And I think that we will do our utmost to be very fast with our work on market stability reserve, with our reform of the ETS system, and with presenting to you on the same day as Energy Union our roadmap to Paris document, which is our negotiating positions for Europe for the talks in Paris, because we want these talks to be successful. We want to see our international partners to join us in the effort to fight climate change, and we are ready to do our utmost to be successful. And if you allow me to conclude by referring to the importance of the research and innovation strategy. Here, you know how much of a good work our scientists do in the European labs, and how very often they are frustrated that the market uptake is not realized in Europe, but in the States or in Asia. And I think we have to change it. We have to use the product of these brilliant minds here in Europe to make sure that we remain leaders also of research and innovation in the field of energy in the European Union. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to conclude on a very optimistic note that the same positive energy I feel in this room, the same big turnout which the Latvian Presidency managed to organize for this conference will help us to have a positive lift-off of these new energy union projects. That when we see each other in a few years, we can say that this was the time where we finally started to move away from 28 different national energy policies to the good European one. I think we are started today. I'm very glad that we are starting in Riga, and I am really honored that I could introduce this subject before such a distinguished panel will take over. Thank you very much, Mr. Director.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vice President, for nice words also about our country. I would ask our technical team to prepare a video message. We have a special video message from Mr. Buzek, who is one of the key persons in the Parliament, European Parliament, on energy, former President of European Parliament. Unfortunately, he can't be here because he is in Warsaw receiving one more doctorate degree, and you know, it's a good excuse. So we have a video message, and I would ask technical team to put the video message for you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to congratulate the Latvian Presidency and the European Commission on organizing the Energy Union Conference. Times have never been more favorable, or rather more pressing, for an integrated EU energy policy. It should help us solve our energy dilemmas, but it can also be a powerful strategy for pushing Europe forward from the crisis, for boosting growth, and for improving our position in the global market. What we need is a holistic view that takes into account all relevant players and sectors. I'm convinced that such a comprehensive approach will be the most important added value of the Energy Union. What do I and my colleagues from the Industry, Research and Energy Committee expect the Union to deliver? First of all, I hope it will help us stimulate the Member States to complete the internal energy market with common rules, interconnections, and with no energy islands, and with full implementation of the all European legislation, which is very, very important. Secondly, I hope it will give a boost to our research on new energy technologies. They must help us make full use of all our indigenous energy resources. This means more flexibility for introducing renewables. Renewables are also indigenous energy resources. More security for using nuclear energy, but also clean coal technologies for using fossil fuels with lower environmental burden. Thirdly, I hope the Energy Union will make us stronger internationally. I mean not only our negotiating position towards external suppliers, but also our standing in global competition in the face of the TTIP, first of all. By the way, the reason why I could not join you in Riga today is because I am chairing a parliamentary conference on energy in Ankara. Together with colleagues from the parliaments of Turkey, Western Balkans, and of course, colleagues from the European Union Parliament, we are discussing the external dimension of our energy policy and the possibilities of acting together. We should not forget that energy security of Europe is not limited within the borders of the EU. It is a common concern of the EU and our neighborhood. For almost 10 years, we have been connected with our neighbors through the energy community. Its members are implementing the third energy package. Especially Ukraine is on this path. This gives a pan-European dimension to the internal energy market based on the rule of law, common principles, physical interconnections, but above all, mutual solidarity. I am convinced this should be also a very important dimension for the Energy Union. Ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, let me wish you a very fruitful conference. I am sure it will be a most valuable step in the process of building a truly integrated energy union for Europe. Energy union of 36, not 28, because we've got colleagues and member states from the energy community between us. Thank you very much for your attention.